All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's session of StackLeague X Caliber Career Session. And for this event tonight, we are covering 2021 PH Tech opportunities landscape. Learn about the Philippine tech landscape and get valuable insights into how IT professionals can thrive and succeed in this fast changing environment. So this is not just for IT professionals. If you are still students, at least you will have an idea on what it would be like whenever you go out and graduate. So this is also relevant for those graduating students. But if not, at least you will have an idea on whenever I graduate, what is the landscape is looking like. Okay, so for if this is the first time that you have attended a StackLeague event, StackLeague is the Philippines' first year-round programming tournament. And with that, we are powered by StackTrack's fully automated talent analytics and assessment platform, which is something that we use at the back end. So the things that the problems that you are solving right now in the platform are being evaluated by StackTrack's automated platform. And we are gathering different developers around the country. And at the end of the year, we are going to identify the top 10 programmers in the league, in the country. And what are the highlights of StackLeague? So right now, we already have 300,000 in the cash prize as our cash prize pool. We also have nationwide recognition, thousands of giveaways, and a lot of tech job opportunities. And also, like this one, we have a lot of event invites. Some of them are exclusive, and some of them are available for public. And how does StackLeague work? So this is how, as you can see, we have 3 different levels. When you sign up, you start at the bottom with 0 points, and then the more challenges that you answer, the higher your ranking goes. So we start at bronze with the easier level types of questions. And then when you rank up, you go to silver. And then the harder the questions, the more points that you get. And the most difficult types of questions are for the gold level. And what are the programming languages supported right now? So we have JavaScript, Java, Python, C#, and PHP. And right now, if you are just joining the league, it's a great time because we have the weekly treasure chest. So right now, everyone in the top 10, in the weekly top 10, will receive 500 pesos instant cash prize starting for the month of June until July 26. And that's it. I hope that gave you an overview on what StackLeague is about. Now for our session, I'd like to introduce to you our resource speaker. He is the growth lead of Kalibrr. Everyone, help me welcome Mr. AJ Avanez.
Good afternoon or good evening to everyone. Thank you for taking the time to spend a little bit of your afternoon with us here today. So let me just very quickly share my screen. All right. Okay. So for this session, as Haifa mentioned, we're going to be talking about how to win the future of work, particularly about the future of work in IT. So for this session, I'm going to try to cover 3 main things. The first one would be, what does the market look like? What does the Philippine work landscape look like after 1 year of being in the pandemic? The second thing is we're going to be looking into a framework in terms of skill, supply, and industry demand. And the last part, we're going to be talking about insights and tips that hopefully will help everyone in this session identify what kind of work you want to do and how you're going to get and find this meaningful career opportunities. So let's start by talking about forecast by the World Economic Forum. So this was back in 2018. The World Economic Forum forecasted that 11,000 people is going to be entering the workforce every day for the next 15 years. So from 2018 all the way to 2033, 11,000 people are going to be added into the workforce daily. So what does that mean as a job seeker? As a professional, it means that every day you're going to be competing with 11,000 people more for career opportunities available in the ASEAN region. Particularly in the Philippines, we currently have 33 million millennials, and I assume that most of the participants in the StackLeague and most of the people we have here in this session are part of the millennial generation. So this chunk, the biggest chunk in the workforce right now, numbers to around 33 million. And because of the pandemic, we just now have roughly 2,400 companies that are currently available. So you can see a very uh, high mismatch between the number of job seekers looking for jobs and the number of companies that are actually hiring. At the same time, um, because of COVID, because of the pandemic, we've actually seen how much work has changed. Everything that we were just talking about before, everything that we were just considering, like fully remote work, working from home or working from anywhere, having online engagements, uh, performance check-ins that happen non-physically. All these things have been fast-tracked, and all of these are happening right now. But I don't want to be very pessimistic. I just want to paint a picture of what the market actually looks like. But despite of all the seemingly negative things, there are actually several bright spots that I would want to focus on. The first one is the opportunity for remote work. Back in 2012, 2013, the Philippines was poised to become the BPO capital of the world, right? But slowly and gradually, we are actually transitioning to the next level of that, which is being the remote work capital of the world. The Global Sourcing Association has actually found that at least 70% of business in the world right now is just planning to start outsourcing. And while we have big companies like Telstra, Optus, Citi that are already outsourcing at least their call center or their customer service departments in the Philippines, we still have around 30 million SMEs that have yet to outsource their work. And this presents an opportunity because while these SMEs are also affected by the pandemic, they're not necessarily lacking work. So they still have work opportunities, but they are implementing cost cutting measures that allow them to shift their strategy from hiring within their country to hiring to a cheaper labor force, such as the Philippines. Next, we've seen growth in different career opportunities, right? Who would have thought that 7 years ago, we would have job titles like data scientists, software engineers, artificial intelligence specialists, product designers, data analysts. And we've seen that in the past years, actually in the past year alone, we've seen a boom in these job titles. So the opportunities for everyone to explore these different job functions, these different fields is very, very available right now. Third, we've also seen a significant growth in startups, not just in the ASEAN region, but more so in the Philippines. So we've seen ASEAN players starting in the Philippines, like Home Credit, the recent entry of a digital bank called Tonic. And we also see a lot of homegrown startups like Kumu, My Kuya, Coins.ph that are slowly but gradually are overtaking the market. So it is the best time to explore a career in technology because uh, startups are growing. Okay? But if you're a little bit more conservative, the good news is that established conglomerates are also starting to evolve. So companies like the Ayala Group, JG Summit, SM, Aboitiz, while rooted in more traditional business models, are also looking to evolve and transform into a more digital centric, to a more digital focused business model. So they're also starting to look for talents that will not only lead these transformations, but will also be a part to ensure this transformation, this evolution is done properly. Going into more specific numbers, we've seen that job seeking has actually become more competitive. So in the past year, from March 2020, when the pandemic, or at least when the lockdown started, till June of this year, we've seen a 16% increase in overall applications. Uh, this might mean that there are a lot more job seekers in the market, maybe coming both from fresh graduates, career shifters, and people who have lost their jobs. So the biggest growth in applications actually came from these five job functions. So from the sciences, anything that involves data science, data analytics, R&D, research and development has seen a 210% increase in applications. Um, Careers or job functions in health and medical, general services, customer service has also seen a significant increase. Lastly, IT, anything related to IT and software has seen a 56% increase in applications. So this just goes to prove the forecast that the World Economic Forum said, that the job seeking landscape is going to be more competitive. So there are more job seekers who are applying in the market. So should you lose hope as a fellow job seeker? Not necessarily, because we've seen that job openings are also increasing. So key job functions continue to experience challenges in hiring for qualified candidates, despite the fact that there are more job seekers available in the market. So particular industries in IT and in the sciences are receiving very meager applications. So imagine in IT, one job opening is just receiving 7 applications in average, right? An opening in the data sciences is only receiving around 27 applications per job. So yes, there are more job seekers looking for jobs, but there are also more opportunities available. So the demand is able to meet the supply. Actually, there's more demand. That's why we're seeing these numbers. And so this presents an opportunity for professionals like us to reskill. So we might not be in the IT or the sciences field right now, but if we are looking to shift into these careers, now is the right time. If you are currently in the IT or sciences field already, then this is also a great opportunity to upskill, because you want to make sure that you continue to be relevant in this competitive, in this more in this new normal, right? I wanted to cap the part about painting a picture of what the market landscape looks like by sharing the list of skills that recruiters see uh, job seekers should have for them to be qualified and for them to be better at their jobs. So back in 2018, you're going to see that the skills listed are actually more soft skills. So these are skills that cut across all job functions. In 2022, recruiters and HR professionals forecast that yes, some of the skills are still going to be important. So, three things that I want to highlight. First one, we see that analytical thinking remains to be the topmost skill that recruiters globally value. So, regardless of what job function, regardless of the role that you are applying to, analytical thinking remains to be the foremost skill that you should have and that you should be able to show during your application process. Second thing that I want to focus on is the upward movement of skills like active learning, creativity, leadership, and social influence. So let's focus a bit on active learning and creativity. This was really brought about by the pandemic because we've seen that a lot of people had to shift their careers. A lot of people had to learn new skills for them to find new jobs, to find new career opportunities. And so recruiters and business leaders have seen that being able to solve problems more creatively and being able to learn new things for you to solve existing problems is a critical skill for you to be successful in the future of work. Leadership and social influence has also seen a boost in terms of what recruiters prioritize because um, since everyone is working remotely right now, the dynamics of managing people, the dynamics of motivating your own teams has changed significantly as well. So a person who's going to be in a managerial in a leadership position should be able to still manage his or her team properly and should be able to exert social influence regardless of being in a remote or in a physical setup. The last thing that I want to focus here is the new skills that have been added. So recruiters now see that technology design and programming and systems analysis are very important to be able to qualify for jobs of the future. So again, this is heavily influenced by the pandemic because now we've seen that problems we're facing should be solved by the perfect marriage of both technology and people. So the best solutions are those that are able to mix and combine technology and people. So you should be able to um, exemplify your skills in technology design and programming. The last one is systems analysis. So we've also seen that the problems that most businesses are facing are actually interrelated. Problem one is related to problem two is related to problem three. And so when we're solving for business problems, we need to look at it at a more systemic level, right? So the solutions that we come up with should not just marry people and technology, but should also be able to consider how these problems are related to one another. Okay. So now I want to segue to a framework that shows what's actually happening in the market, specifically what's happening in the ASEAN market, wherein recruitment is still a bit more traditional compared to global standards. So let's look at the supply, which are technically educational institutions. So this is where most of job seekers are coming from. So you graduate from college or you graduate from universities, and this is where you learn the fundamentals, your theories, liberal education. So that's the uh, left side. On the other end, you have the industries. And this industry move at a very fast pace. So this is where trends, new technology, new skills are usually started. Imagine two ends of the spectrum: supply, educational institutions, and demand, which are industries. So these two, imagine that they are playing a game of tag. Educational institutions, while reliable, are not built for scale and speed. So they're not able to adapt as easily to the demands of industries. Thus the elephant analogy. On the other end, you have the industries demanding for job seekers likened to a hummingbird because they are very dynamic. As I mentioned, they're very fast paced. Because of competition, they need to survive. They need to continuously make innovations for them to move forward. So, industries and educational systems, two ends of the spectrum, are not really able to meet each other's needs. And this is where the skill gap occurs. So the job seekers coming out of universities, maybe even job seekers that are coming out of more traditional corporate structures, are not able to meet the demands of industries. So yes, traditional education, traditional credentials like your course, licenses for board exam or bar exam passers are a way for you to be prepared for the job market. But they're just one part of the equation. This does not necessarily allow you to still meet the demands of industries. So now we have the advent of flexible credentials. So these are skill badges, these are certifications that come from more non-traditional educational institutions. And this allow you not just to learn new skills, but this also allows you to demonstrate that you actually have these skills. So given this framework and given the status of our market, how do we now prepare our career to win the future of work? So some couple of things. So yes, I don't discount the fact that um, traditional educational institutions like universities and colleges are still very much needed, right? You still need them because again, this is where you learn the basics. This is where you build your foundation. But you now need to venture out and continuously learn additional skills. So you now have online platforms like Skillshare, Udemy, EDX, Coursera, even YouTube, which are platforms that allow you to learn new skills. And then now you have non-traditional learning institutions like Esquelabs, Avion School, and boot camps, which again teach you learning frameworks, teach you new tools, teach you new artifacts. So to be able to win and thrive in the future of work, you need to have your degree and you need to be able to supplement that with new learnings from online platforms and non-traditional learning institutions. Same time, you also need to earn credentials to certify skills. I'm sure most of us are already familiar with some of these. So Google currently offers certification in data sciences. Uh, AWS also offers certification for their own programs. The likes of Cisco, Microsoft already offer certification for not just using the tools that they offer, but also certifying skills that are needed, not just by their own workforce, but also for people who are looking to work with these companies. So sometimes they're free, um, sometimes they might be paid, but note that these are all worthwhile investments because again, they certify that you not only have the skill, but you actually can demonstrate. And speaking of demonstration, events like the Stack League are actually very beneficial for you to win in the future of work because they show actual experience, they show application. So, yes, you might know the skill, But being able to show that you can apply these skills is another critical component. So joining hackathons, joining competitions, again like StackLeague, pursuing gig projects and freelancer and Upwork, even doing volunteer projects, maybe for friend, for I don't know, your school if you're still studying, and even actually taking a job for learning rather than pay are opportunities for you to learn and for you to apply the skills that you have right now. So I really, really recommend everyone to be open to these opportunities, explore these things. We've actually seen that at least locally, there are more hackathons, more competitions are happening, but there are also, of course, global competitions that you can be part. Next, you also need to make your skills and experiences discoverable. So online career profiles like Kalibrr, like LinkedIn, allow you to showcase your skills, allow you to showcase your level of expertise for certain skills. Alongside these career profiles, I also recommend that everyone start building an online portfolio. So if you're a developer, look into GitHub. If you have preference for writing, maybe start a blog, WordPress or Medium, document the problems that you are facing, the solutions that you come up with, in relations to your work or in relation to a project that you might be doing. Maybe talk about your experience pursuing a hackathon. So these things, again, add to your credibility. They add to your legitimacy as a job seeker. They reinforce the skills that you already have, and again, make you easier, make job hunting a lot easier for you as well. So just to summarize, what are the things that are important? Again, opportunities that allow you to demonstrate skills like hackathon, programming contests, doing volunteer work, doing open source work, and even startup experience are a plus right now. A lot of people, a lot of companies, HR professionals, business leaders, and recruiters, even hiring managers value these experiences a lot because they're practical, they're demonstrable. What these people don't necessarily care about are your education. So what degree you finished might not be as relevant because someone who didn't study computer science or IT in college might be as well versed with programming languages because of online platforms and non-traditional learning institutions. Programming languages, actually, to be honest, are not as important as you think, right? What's important is the logic behind it. Being able to understand a problem and being able to recommend a solution, regardless of what programming language you're using, is more important. Third, the university that you attended is not as important as you think, right? At the end of the day, again, it's about the skills that you have and how you demonstrate these skills. Last one is what are actually downsides, what negatively impact your profile. First one is extended or recent experience in using outdated programs, outdated technologies like Java, Visual Basic, SAP, Salesforce. If these are parts of your job seeking experience, maybe your previous company or your current company is still engaged in these technologies or in these programming languages, I really recommend you learning new technologies and applying them again in hackathons and volunteer work and open source work because startups and even again established conglomerates are already moving away from these technologies and these languages. Okay? And again, maybe just end if there's anything that I want you to take away from this session, it's that the future work demonstrating what you can do is going to be the penultimate criteria that will allow you to have a better, easier job seeking experience. Because demonstrating what you can do is going to be more important than where or what you studied in school, maybe even more important than where you came from, like what your previous work was, what your previous job title was. So thank you everyone for attending the session. I think we're now opening the floor for our Q&A.
Thank you so much, AJ, for that very valuable talk. No, so I wanted, while we are waiting for everyone else to input their questions, one question on my end, AJ. Can you share the recent story that you mentioned, or instant that you mentioned, that education may not be as important because there are others who may not graduate as an IT or a CS, but they were able to show their expertise. Can you share more on that one? Like how others were, let's say I am a career shifter, or maybe I am from the business, but since I there aren't a lot of opportunities in that area and I'm interested to go into IT. Maybe if you can share instances or tips for those career shifters, since you mentioned that education may not be as important right now.
Sure. Maybe something that I can directly share is our experience in Kalibrr as a technology startup as well. So our development team, our software engineering team, we really have a mandate wherein um, your school, your course is not as important. So one of our data scientists was actually a graduate of ECE. But what we looked at was what were the skills behind being an ECE or an engineering major. And that was one, proficiency in using statistics, which is going to be relevant uh, to a career in the data science. Second thing is that person was also involved in a clothing business. He managed a clothing business during the pandemic. And we see that as a data scientist, it's important for you to be able to tell stories out of the data points that you're able to do. And as a business owner, that's also something very important, being able to communicate your product, the benefits of your product. Um, and lastly, that person was actually enrolled in a course in Avion School, which is also a startup in the Philippines right now that is offering, I think, a 12-week or 8-week boot camp, which gives you the foundational skills that allow you to transition to a career in IT. So these things, one, being able to emphasize transferable skills from what you currently do, maybe what your course is or what your current job title is, towards the career or the job that you're looking at is a good tip. And the second one is actually investing in yourself. So studying, enrolling in a course is going to be helpful because it, again, not just demonstrates that you're already learning the skill, but it also shows initiative, but you've actually invested to learn and develop those new skills.
Okay, sige. Thank you so much for that, AJ. So we have here questions from our audience. So Feldian Nietzsche, the question would be, will some technological jobs will be able to adapt to the ever-changing landscape of technology, since AI and machine learning are on the rise right now? Yun.
So technology, so IT jobs, I think, are more resilient to the future work just because using the language or using the tools is just one part of the work. The other part of the work, which I think is equally important, is the human element behind it. So again, recall the slide about our advanced skills. Um, Being able to think analytically, being able to assess a problem from a more systemic perspective, are things that AI is still not able to do, right? And at the end of the day, at least with regards to AI, um, there still is a lot of human intervention that needs to happen with regards to machine learning, at least, right? So being able to feed the data, being able to identify the data that's needed by the AI to learn is still very much coming from a human element. So yes, a lot of the technological jobs, not just with regards to software engineering, but even with product design, digital marketing, I think is still going to be something that will continue to grow regardless of the improvements in AI and technology.
Okay, so thanks, AJ. And then we also have another question here from Kira Yagami. Anong programming language ang pinaka-in-demand ngayon po? Daghang salamat. Ayan.
What we're seeing right now, at least from companies that are hiring for Filipinos, are looking for Python. That's one. Python because it's used in software engineering, but it's also the same language that's being used by data scientists. PHP is also something that we're seeing a lot of right now. Um, and I think even Java and JavaScript.
Okay, so for our participants, for our audience here, again, the in-demand languages right now is Python because it's not just being used for software engineering, but also for analytics. And then there is also PHP. It's also in demand right now. One more question, AJ, because we've seen in the comments that a lot of our audience here are also students. And with them, at being a student right now, whenever they graduate, for sure, it will be a bunch of other graduates graduating as well, right? As a student right now, how can you give what kind of things can you do to give you an edge over other graduating students right now? Because of course, as a student, you still don't have any professional experience. What are your tips there, AJ?
I think two things. We get this question a lot actually from our university partners. One
Uh-huh.
is internships. I can't stress it enough. The internship experience of students is not just anymore curriculum, I mean, part of the requirements of the school, but they really give you an insight in terms of um, how involved the student is in terms of working, because we really see how different student is without internship experience versus one with internship experience. So for those who can still accommodate internships, please do so. Even if they're unpaid, because unfortunately a lot of internships in the Philippines are still unpaid. Please explore them. I've seen a lot of our interns right now in Kalibrr who are still second years, third years, who already have 3 to 4 internship experiences in their belt. So if you have asynchronous classes, feel free to take on internships, especially because you can be more flexible with regards to how you manage it. The second thing is, again, try to do actual real life projects. So say as part of your thesis, and that's something that your curriculum mandates. But even outside of that, say you have a friend or a parent who's engaged in, say, an online selling business. Maybe try to create a website for them. Try to create a mobile app ordering system for them. It might not be perfect, but this gives you an idea in terms of how to do these things in a more practical manner. And at the same time, this gives you something to show. This gives you a tangible uh, product, a tangible thing that you can show to your future employers. So these two things, internship and real life work experience.
Ayun. So also to add, no, that's very important that the way I see it, even in our company. So internships and real life projects. So also to share to our audience here, as AJ mentioned, it doesn't necessarily have to be part of the curriculum for you to go into internship. So just to share with you that we have one intern in our company, and it's not required by their school at all. She just wants that, oh, I have extra time right now and I wanted to learn something else. So with that one, that internship already brings a lot of experience, and it's not just experience in school but also in the professional world. So that's really huge. So for student, even if you're still a first year student, a second year student, and even if you're not required to do internship at the moment, do try to explore, because right now, ayun nga, as AJ mentioned, you're doing asynchronous learning right now. You still have plenty of time in your hands. Try to learn something else outside. And if it's already in the industry, that will give you a really huge edge in the industry. Ayan, thank you so much, AJ. We have one more question here from Edwin Dagohoy. What characteristics could you share to us in applying for a job?
So Edwin, not sure if you mean by characteristics you mean attitude. But if that's what you mean, I think what's important right now is um, first one is persistence. The job market, admittedly, is gonna be hard right now. There are a lot of job seekers, as I mentioned. If you have the, I guess, the privilege to be a bit choosier about the jobs, then it's still going to be challenging because a lot of companies are just figuring out what kind of job functions, what kind of roles they actually need. So it's going to be a lot of trial and error, a lot of rejections, a lot of unresponsiveness coming in from potential employers. So that's one. Second one is learning agility, being able to adapt to a different problem, to a different situation is going to be very, very important because the future work is just unfolding. Nothing's sure yet, nothing's set in stone yet. So, one problem that we're facing right now might be a completely different problem in 2 months' time or next year. So, having a learning agility is gonna allow you to adapt to things faster and easier. The third one is um, empathy. Being able to understand what businesses need, what employers need, is gonna be critical because it allows you to be a better problem solver. When you treat problems not just as a checklist, but more as a human-centered issue that also needs a human-centered problem or a human-centered solution, then the solution just becomes more inclusive overall. So I guess these three things, a lot of things are gonna be, of course, functional, like the skills, the tools, but the characteristics I mentioned, I think, is something that cuts across regardless of role or industry or job function.
And so last two na AJ mentioned is on learning agility and empathy. Those two are also very important right now. Now, AJ, we have another question. So same person from Edwin Magallanes. What profession? No, I think it's a different person. So it's Edwin Dagoy Magallanes. What profession or are in demand for those BSBA students like me? And how to transcend onto it?
So by BSBA, I'm gonna assume you mean business administration, Edwin. So for business administration students, sales, business development is still very, very, I guess, profitable and also very in demand career right now. A lot of businesses are, of course, looking to grow the revenue, right? And one way to do it is to add more salespeople. So if you're interested in sales, if you have an interest in building relationships with other people, providing solutions. Business development and sales is still a very good career path for you. Digital marketing is also a growing industry. So there's a lot of branches under that. So there's content marketing if you're a good writer, if you're a bit more analytical. There's paid advertising and optimization. Um, so digital marketing is a whole sphere of different job functions. Transcending into it, I would say start with something specific. Start with uh, figuring out what you're good at. So, like what our CEO always tells us, when you're a fresh graduate, you don't have a shape yet. You don't know what you're good at. You don't know where you're gonna excel. So spend your first 2 to 3 years just trying out different things. And I don't say try out different employers, but just try out, be open to experiences because this will allow you to figure out one, what you excel at, two, what value you're going to be adding to your future employers.
Yan. So for Edwin's question right now, especially if you're a BSBA, so for those who are also BSBA right now or in the business, you have a business degree, so business development, sales, and also digital marketing. And I also have to agree on the digital marketing side that especially right now that everyone is going digital, most of the companies are investing in digital marketing roles. Ayan. So we also have one question here. Dumadami questions mo, AJ. So we have from Vina M. Nagiat. So ano po masasuggest niyo sa amin ng mga graduating students, especially ngayon na may pandemic, kung papaano kami makakakuha ng work after graduation kahit wala kaming OJT? Ayan.
I'm leaning towards practicality, to be honest, Vina. So first thing I would do is to assess maybe your current financial situation. Can you afford to wait it out? If so, I'd suggest still going for an internship. I encounter a lot of graduate students who still pursue internships, even if they're unpaid or even if they pay a lower rate, because they really want to make sure that they gain real hand experience first. So that's for, I guess, more privileged people. But if you don't have that capacity to wait out, I would recommend first being active into as many job platforms as you can. So in the Philippines alone, you have a couple. So of course you have Kalibrr, you have LinkedIn, JobStreet, right? So these three are like the biggest ones, but there are a lot more. So you can try looking into that. But outside the Philippines, as I mentioned, global companies are already starting to consider remote work. So look into job platforms that are also for remote work. So one thing in mind would be Angel List. So you can go to Angel List, Google it. It features different jobs from startups from around the world who are looking mostly for remote talents, actually. Um, so just being present in a lot of job boards allow you to um, know more about what's available. And of course, this also allows you to increase your visibility as a job seeker and increase the number of opportunities that are available for you.
Ayan. So to highlight what AJ said, no, one would be if you have the time or if you can delay it, always get, if wala ka pang OJT, try to find internships first because this will really give you an edge. And the next would be visible. So you have different platforms right now like Kalibrr. We also have LinkedIn, JobStreet, and also one of our partners is also Workbank. And we also, it was also mentioned the Angel List if you want to work in a startup. And for everyone's knowledge, working in a startup is really something that will really accelerate your growth. So hindi siya the same with corporate wherein there's a huge process. For startups, you really have to really work it out and you have to make quick decisions and quick perform quickly. Ayan. So, and I think this is the last question na AJ. So, we have from Zag Villanueva. Magkakaroon po ba kayo ng susunod na session? AJ, do you have sessions with Kalibrr upcoming?
We do have things that we are cooking up that will be announcing soon. So please follow our Facebook account and our LinkedIn account to always be updated.
All right. So and then for StackLeague, everyone, we do have upcoming events happening soon. So essentially, the events that we do at StackLeague, we have career sessions for you to really expand your increase your edge in the market, and we also have tech sessions to increase your technical skills as well. So again, as also same with AJ, just follow the StackLeague Facebook page and social media accounts. Also upcoming, we have on next week, July 15, we have a StackLeague Quest series. So if you're into programming, we have think of it as a quiz bee, wherein there's some 40 multiple choice questions. You have 30 seconds to answer, and we have cash prizes for it. And then the following week after that, we will have a session with Amazon Web Services. This one naman is hosting your app on the cloud. And I think that's it for tonight's session. AJ, do you have any final words or announcements to all of our audience tonight?
Again, I just want to thank everyone. I know some of you might be coming off from work, maybe from school. I hope that you got at least some tips, some insights that you can carry as you go looking for a job or as you go upskilling yourself in the future of work.
All right, and that's it. Thank you so much, everyone. And to all the 245 viewers that we have tonight, thank you again, and see you at the next StackLeague event. Thanks, AJ.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Haifa.